I would like to call this meeting of the Westport Historical Commission to order. Can we start with the minutes of November 6th? Does anybody have any questions or comments regarding the minutes of November 6th? Is it? Yeah.
Sorry, I had a comment, couple comments. First, under additional items, number 4, I was corrected that Betty Slade has never been a member of the Historical Commission, so that should be struck from the second line of number 4. And then I had one more thing. So, under general business, first item, paragraph that started with MW started discussion. I think there was a little bit of nuance lost in the minutes. So there's about halfway down, there's a sentence that starts, GS suggested that a new public hearing was an excessive requirement. I don't think that's quite correct. So I propose this wording. GS asked for clarification of the nature of the reconsideration and suggested that a new public hearing is an excessive requirement if the reconsideration is to be merely a revote. I thought I have that language if it's approved.
Anybody with questions, comments? Comments on the comments? Do I hear a motion?
Motion to approve
As amended.
as amended, yes.
All in favor?
Was there a second? Do we need a second?
Yeah, I think I'll let you.
Yeah,
said
Beth
second.
did,
Yeah. Okay, all in favor? You know, I'm gonna go one by
Okay.
one.
Garrett Stack, aye.
I abstain.
Okay,
I was absent.
okay. Bud Warren's aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Michael Walden, aye.
Very good. Okay, treasurer's report.
No treasurer's report this week, this month.
Okay. Do we have any certificates of non-applicability?
Yes.
Good. What have we got?
The proposed addition of
46 Cape Paul Lane. Okay.
And the argument is this isn't a reasonable certificate of appropriateness because it's not visible. And inasmuch as it came in my hands this afternoon at 3:30, the only persons to whom I defer are Deborah and Kit because they live on
Cape Paul Lane.
Cape by Lane, and the rest of us haven't got a clue whether or not it's visible. So the argument is that it is not visible from a public way. I mean, I defer.
Well, do we have the, what am I trying to say, from above?
Yeah. Aerial view? or-
There is an aerial view, keep going. No, when you just pass it.
Site plan, yeah. There we go.
Well, I was looking at that one.
I can make a comment on this. We
Yeah.
live about 3 houses up from Henry and Priscilla Frisch, and their house is tucked down quite a bit. We can barely see the roof of their house from our yard or roof deck, so
And this
it
addition
really is true. It's not visible at all from a public way. The next public way would be Cape Bile Lane, and their driveway is quite a bit down before you get to their house. So if they're building anything on the back of their house, you really would not be able to see it.
On the south elevation, it's a veranda. Actually,
Right.
they're rather nice architect's drawings, but,
Now, is
Yeah.
it just a veranda?
well,
It looks like an addition or an improvement to
It's
the
an addition, and how many stories is the addition?
it's only one story, I gather. I didn't have a lot of time to
So,
study
Of
it.
course you did, and I apologize.
And without their blessing, I would object because I think it's outrageous to send me there at,
Well, you know something, this doesn't have to be decided tonight.
Right.
And it doesn't require the full commission. You and I can decide this after we've had a chance to review and make an appropriate
but
decision.
it seems to me that if we disagree, and I'm prepared to disagree, he's got to apply for a
It is a
certificate.
it is a two-story addition.
He's going to have to apply for a certificate of appropriateness. And Gillespie
You know
wasn't
what,
born
we may have to
yesterday.
make a site
That's
visit.
the addition. That's
I think we're gonna have to make a site visit.
I can't tell.
You can't tell, I don't think I can tell, we will have to make a site visit and decide that. Okay, so that's that. Okay, now we're ready for our first order of business, which is 2038 Main Road. And I have some, kind of a preliminary, now can we post the plans for 2038 Main Road on the board?
I have fresh
You have
set.
set, oh, good, yours are bigger than the ones we have.
Okay, so, my opening remarks on this is that on June 12th of this year, the Westport Historical Commission voted on an application for a certificate of appropriateness for 2038 Main Road submitted by Driftwood Realty Trust. Although there was confusion surrounding that vote, ultimately the vote only yielded 3 votes in favor of approval. Regardless of the number of commission members at a meeting, 4 votes are required for approval. Due to the confusion, disagreement, and claims of error surrounding that vote, and the hearings that preceded it, the Westport Historical Commission voted on November 6th to reconsider that application at today's meeting. The main house at 2038 Main Road is an intact colonial dating from 1782. It's an irreplaceable historical gem and an irreplaceable part of a larger fabric created by the neighboring historic buildings and the entire Westport Point Historic District. That being said, the Commission also recognizes that it is a private house that the owners need to be able to use and live in, which is why, subject to the Commission's determination that they are appropriate, additions and modifications are permitted within the historic district. The word appropriate is a shorthand term that subsumes a number of considerations. The Commission's objective with respect to all applications is to work with applicants to come up with mutually acceptable proposals that will satisfy the Commission's obligation to preserve and protect the historical and architectural integrity of the buildings or structures in question, the immediate neighborhoods in which they are located, and the historic district as a whole. Those are the Commission's goals for this hearing, as they have been throughout its considerations with respect to 2038 Main Road. To that end, I should note that the Commission, working with the applicant, was able to approve a mutually acceptable proposal with respect to the applicant's property at 2040 Main Road, which is located immediately behind 2038 Main Road. With that in mind, I'd like to lay down some ground rules for this evening's reconsideration of the application for 2038 Main Road. Although this is a reconsideration, any comments that were made with respect to this proposal on June 12th or before remain on record and do not need to be repeated. By the same measure, because this proposal has history, some of it contentious, I understand that feelings can run high. Please remember that Westport is a community. We are all neighbors, and I hope this hearing can be characterized by civility and decorum. This is not the right place for accusations, recriminations, or threats. I repeat that for the Commission, the only purpose of this reconsideration is to determine whether the proposal before us, or any modifications thereof, is appropriate. The procedure tonight will be as follows. First, the applicant will be given the opportunity to present any revisions to the plans associated with the application based upon the comments made during the June 12th meeting or in the Commission's notice of determination on the application. If the applicant presents any revisions, the Commission will hear from any abutters who wish to comment. If the applicant does not present any revisions, we will move on. My understanding is that tonight there will not be any revisions presented, at least initially. The Commission will then deliberate on the application, including any revisions. Members of the Commission who are not present at the June 12th meeting will be permitted to participate in the deliberations, including asking questions of the applicants, if those members have viewed the videos of all meetings missed at which the 2038 Main Road application was considered by the Commission, as provided by the Commission rules and regulations, Section 3B2. Tongue twisters in here. Okay. Provided that the application has not requested a continuance at the time such deliberations conclude, a commission member will make a motion to approve the application either as presented at the June 12th meeting or as further revised, and a vote on such motion will be taken by roll call. Members of the commission who were not present at the June 12th meeting will be permitted to vote if they had viewed the videos of all meetings missed in which the 2038 Main Road application was considered by the commission, as provided by Commission Rules and Regulations, Section 3B2. If there are 4 votes in favor, the application will be approved and the commission will carry out the necessary procedural requirements, such as signing plans and appointing monitors. So my understanding is there are not any revisions being presented tonight, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. In that case, let me give a brief recap of where we stand. My understanding is that there were 2 primary objections to this design that was presented to us on June 12th. The first is that the addition looks too big for its context. Since we're only concerned with external appearances, we avoided saying that it is too big because we hope to leave open the possibility that the applicant's architect might find some way to incorporate the amount of square footage his clients want in a design that would not overwhelm the historic main house, would not loom over the neighboring historic buildings, and would not create a precedent that might ultimately adversely affect the historic and architectural integrity of the entire historic district. Each time the architect has come to us with a design, the commission members have suggested changes intended to lessen the apparent bulk and mass of the addition, such as lowering the roof line below that of the main house, setting the addition back from the sides of the main house, breaking up the plane of the north wall of the addition with a setback between the first and second floors, and telescoping the addition smaller as it goes back. The architect has now come up with 3 different designs, all of which look too big to some commission members. In fact, regardless of what the commission has to say about it, the addition appears to be too big even for general Westport zoning requirements. The zoning requirement requires a 10-foot setback from sidelines. Provided that the north wall of the ground floor of the proposed addition is on the same footprint as the existing addition, it is probably grandfathered, but the second floor of the existing addition is set back beyond 10 feet. So the north wall of the second floor of the proposed addition seems to violate those setback requirements. Can you speak to that as the architect?
It might be a special permit might be required for an existing non-conforming structure. And generally, when additions are not more non-conforming than the existing structure, boards of appeals generally grant special permits for those conditions. So it's not, I don't believe it's a concern. And many of these additions in the point get built without ever going to the Board of Appeals, even though they're non-conforming.
So you're saying nobody's making sure that the zoning regulations are being followed?
That's the evidence that I've seen.
Okay. Okay.
Kid, but what's the remedy for that? I don't think we should, I mean, if the building inspector is going to look at that, see that the setback requirements have not been met, why go to the zoning board of appeals when you can, how can you adjust that?
Or couldn't you adjust that, I guess is the question you're asking, is that?
Right.
Well, virtually every building point is non-conforming for setbacks. It's all grandfathered.
Well, but what's,
And if the building inspector decides it needs to go to the Board of Appeals because our additions are non-conforming, then we go to the Board of Appeals, and I would expect the Board of Appeals to grant us a special permit.
But I just don't understand how you can come before the commission and and expect us to approve a design that may have to be altered after the work we've put into reviewing this, that may be altered by the zoning board of appeals rejection.
Well, it's, you know, which goes first, the horse or the cart? It's, you know, there could be building code issues that are incorporated that might get rejected by the building inspector.
The architect would know those building codes.
Well, yes, but not all buildings are designed by architects either.
Does anyone else have any questions?
Kit, how much longer is the building east to west than the existing building?
8 feet, 6 feet, 6 feet, excuse me, 6
Feet
feet.
longer? So you would increase the nonconformity of it with that extra, I mean, that'd be another 6 feet of building, it's not.
So it's not just the second floor, it's also the ground floor, another 8 feet, you're
Yes.
saying. Is that correct?
6 feet, yes.
6 feet, whatever it is.
So, Kit, could you point out where the violation would be on the
Well,
elevation here, or the floor plan?
well, here's the floor plan. The existing property line runs right along here somewhere. I don't have a site plan with me. But the existing property line runs right along here, 3 or 4 feet off the side of the house.
And that's where the violation could possibly be?
Yes. So, this piece may be 10 feet off the property line, this piece probably is not.
You say maybe, but you haven't determined that it is?
No, it doesn't, it's never been an issue.
Okay.
But it is an issue to us because of what I've just said. We're approving something and then to have to come back, I mean, that should have been taken care of before.
Perhaps it should have, or could have.
Okay.
But then. you
How
know,
many feet are we talking about?
Well, I mean, looks like plan here. Well, in fact, the property line is mere inches away from the north face of the house, along here. So all of this is non-conforming.
So the front is existing,
The front is existing, yes.
that's 3 or 4 inches away.
Yes, 3 or 4 inches away.
My experience, you're gonna have a problem not putting the new construction 10 feet from the line.
That's my experience, it's not gonna be a problem.
Well, it was a problem for me.
Okay. Well, shall we continue? I was going to mention the second objection that has been raised. So the second primary objection, my understanding with these plans, with those who voted against it, is that each of the designs that the architects has presented to us included a categorically unhistorical element, which in each case comes down to some portion of the addition, jutting out further south than the south wall of the main house, so that from the street it unavoidably conflicts with the historical integrity of the main house. In the current design, this element consists of a living room addition projecting south off the main addition. We've been told that each of these elements was included because the owners wished to be able to see the sunset from their living room. Unfortunately, I don't believe that the designs that we have seen would accomplish this goal. Let me clarify. 2038 Main Road sits on the east side of Main Road. The only possible view of the sunset would be through a narrow aperture between two houses on the west side of the main road. Unfortunately, the sun seems to set too far north on the horizon to be viewable through that aperture, except perhaps during a couple of weeks in the dead of winter. Even then, in the design before us, I believe it would only be viewable if you were standing directly in front of the windows at the south wall of the living room and not from anywhere else in that room. So let me ask again, have you done the calculations to determine at what time of year a sunset might be viewable and from where in that room?
I can tell you, it was very beautiful this evening.
Was it?
We were standing there, there's actually quite a wide gap, with not only a view of the sunset, but a view of the harbor.
Okay.
And it's quite a wide gap between the two houses across the street.
So how long during the course of a year? Because the sun's constantly
Well, it's
moving on
not
the
only- It's
horizon.
not only, I mean, the sun, there are some times of year you can see the sunset there, but all year long, you can see the harbor.
You can see, so you're saying it's actually for a view of the harbor that this has been
I don't remember
proposed?
what we said the view was for us.
Okay,
The
okay,
sunset, the harbor, whatever can be seen there, it's a very nice view,
okay,
whether the
Fair
sun
enough.
is setting or not.
okay. Well, let me go take one more step. If the owners have insisted that they want, if they insist that they want more space and the view, the commission has suggested an alternate design that would give the owners both of these things and eliminate both of our objections. Namely, to expand the main house south with a historically appropriate fifth bay and add a smaller addition in the back, which would also be less visible from the street because the main house would now be larger. And if you were to leave all or part of the existing addition in place, it might even be less expensive than the proposal before us. So once again, let me ask you, has this suggestion been considered?
Yes, it has.
And?
And, well, I mean, one of your earlier statements in what you just presented was about the preservation of the historic integrity of the house, and turning a three-quarter house into a full house.
Or
is
four
hard.
fifths into a five fifths, which is what we're talking about, yeah.
It's-
But that has a lot of historical precedent. That has been done ever since these houses were built.
Yes, but there's also all sorts of historical precedents up and down the point.
Historical after the existence of the Historical Commission?
Yes, of L's projecting to the south from the main body of the house.
After
Yes.
73?
Yes.
Okay, I'd love to see them.
Well, I designed one myself,
Okay,
couple of doors up the street
yeah.
with a south projecting L.
Mhm.
And there are several others up and down the street,
Okay,
before and after.
okay.
May I say something?
Yeah, go ahead. It's an open discussion.
Yeah, so I agree that this projection to the south is not uncharacteristic for the point. I actually walked up and down the street today. There are a number of houses that have side porches, projections, not unlike this. I think another thing in favor of this projection is that 2040 is directly behind this house. And so I actually
It
think
blocks
that
your view of 2040.
it would block your view of 2040, but there's not really a view of the river through that, I mean, through the space where that L
Okay, okay.
would be.
You made a model.
I think this is a good opportunity
Yeah.
to present this model, which I think if you view it from an angle about like this, which is the kind of view that you would have from the street, you can see it's not a dominant overbearing addition. And if you look at it like this, you can see it steps down and down, and yes, it winds around and it steps down and down and down, and it steps back and back and back. Things that you've asked for all along and that we've accomplished.
Okay.
But you can all take that or have that all around. It's a little crude, but it makes the point.
Well, let's open up this conversation. Are there any other questions, comments from members of the commission?
My comment,
Actually, before I go any further, I should have
Yeah.
done this earlier. Can I confirm that those of you who were not present at prior meetings have viewed them on video?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And you also from the one who
Well,
was,
it
yes.
wasn't
yes.
relevant.
Yeah. Good. Okay,
My,
thank you.
my comment, Rudd, is that, you know, the New England houses did do this.
Mhm.
And I think that,
That's an alternative.
Oh, alternate front, I got that.
For the free
I-
unit, yeah.
Yeah,
and to add another bay onto the front of the house here does, this house evolved like this from the early part of the 18th century. And I think it's very important to preserve it
yeah. As is.
as it is,
Okay.
rather than to add out to it.
Okay.
Because it's part of the historic district as it is, and it's been that way ever since. The additions on the back, I feel, although I feel this section is a little over large, that section there, but it's this kind of thing, that the telescoping back that's been done so far, and as you can see on the design, I think is well done. From the side, and certainly from the street on the north elevation, the way it's stepping back, the way the roof line is broken up, and as again, so you can see up on the design. It seems fitting to the way houses have evolved from three-quarter house to added needs to the living space and adding back like that. It may look cumbersome, but you know, you've seen so many houses that have evolved this way that I don't see it as something that is offensive, and I don't see it as something that's going to be detrimental to the integrity of the architecture in Westport Point Historic District.
Okay. Do we have other comments? If we have no further comments, do I hear a motion? Somebody's got to.
I move we approve the plan.
Okay, now I'm going to do this by roll call, so,
I'll second it.
oh, I'm sorry, you're absolutely right, seconded, thank you. Go ahead.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Bolter, nay?
Rudd Lawrence, aye.
Oh, Rod, have the abutters had a chance?
We're not, but those comments were already made back in the
Okay.
June 12th.
Okay.
So it's up to you. You're,
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Beverly Shook, aye.
Michael Walden, aye.
okay, it is passed.
Thank you very much.
Okay, now,
Mr. Chairman,
yes,
could we accommodate all the people out here by moving some chairs?
absolutely. If that's, this is a good time to do that, because we've got some paperwork to deal with, and we'll deal with that now. Yeah, just everybody move, when it requires moving up, I'm sure you can work it out. Okay, we need to sign the plans, and, we're gonna have here, what? And monitors. Who were the monitors we decided on the last one? You and me? Okay, well, we're still the monitors, okay. You got that? Bill Kendall and I are the monitors.
This theoretically is not dated, but should be a certificate of honor. It was in the mailbox this evening.
What is it?
It says it's a certificate of appropriate, but it isn't.
It's to remove shingles, it's to
So it's-
supersede landmark shingles, but what's up there now? We don't know.
All right.
Remove it, because we don't even know if it's like for like, right?
No, I mean, all we know is this was there. It's not dated.
Let's call them. Because that's why we asked for the numbers. We can call them and say we need more information.
Okay.
Very good. How many people are out there? Okay. Is the applicant here? Where's the applicant? Hello,
This
hello?
was Jeff Wade.
Yeah, 2038. Well, I need them. Oh, yeah, go there.
What it looks like from his perspective as a butter, massing of the new structure and how he would look at it. Where he was originally,
Monitors
it was a
are-
dormitory
What?
stuff.
Monitors
Back.
for-
Bill and I are
Oh,
monitors.
okay.
It's changed, it's improved a lot.
Okay.
That's why.
Welcome back. Okay, goodbye. What's this? Is this gonna be 2015? Okay. Perfect, okay. We'll get to that next.
I think the other one.
Yeah, just because we've done this once before, but we're doing it again. The monitors on your project are Bill Kendall and me. Inform us before the work begins. Inform us if you want to make any changes to what we've approved tonight. And inform us when the work is completed. Those three things. Do you have our phone numbers? Okay, you've got those. Okay, so that we're the monitors. So now we need to sign the plans.
Do you need a monitor slip that you want to give
Where's
us?
your architect? I think he took the plans with him. We need the plans to sign them. Yeah, because those are the latest and greatest, correct?
Well, they're the same ones we had before.
Well, do we have the ones we had before?
I know.
Okay, so let's, if you don't mind, we'll take them.
These are just the existing conditions. So what you want to see?
No, we want to sign the changes, yeah. Okay. We get this in process?
Signing, I guess.
Do those plans go into the files? The ones
Yes,
that are
we keep-
signed? So
keep-
he's taking the ones that she's got them.
We're supposed to have 3 sets of.
Yeah, so we should get another set.
And we should get another, Kit, can we get another set of plans for our permanent files? Because these are going to go to the building department. Can we do that? And get another set of plans for the permanent file?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
If you drop them off to me,
I'll drop them off to you.
I can put them in the file.
Do that tomorrow.
Great, thank you.
They have it, they have it. Okay. Okay, are we done with this?
You have 4, right? So are we good?
Yeah,
So these go to the building department.
yeah.
Okay.
Carol, gonna
Okay, if I can have everybody's attention.
did you sign this
The
one?
next item on the agenda is 2015 Main Road. The facts, as I understand them, are that in the spring of 2023, 2 different building permit applications were submitted to the building inspector, one for an in-ground pool and one for a roughly 56 by 91 foot engineered concrete structure to be approximately 9 feet above grade, which would house the pool and a mechanical room, among other things. Although the property had not sought a certificate of non-applicability, hardship, or appropriate from the commission, the permits were issued and construction apparently began over the summer. The engineered concrete structure is visible from at least one public way. On November 16th, under my authority to correspond with the public under Section 2B2 of our rules and regulations, I sent the record owner of the property a notice of violation in order to respond under Section 7A2 of our rules and regulations. The building inspector subsequently issued a written stop work order. On November 20th, 2023, that is within the 1-week period under the notice and order, counsel for the individual claiming to now be the trustee of the owner sent me a letter regarding the construction. And I believe there was a second letter that was sent and a response since then, which is brings us right up to the minute, brings us to tonight's meeting.
That's right.
Now, so someone just walked up here and appeared as counsel for the 2015, is that correct? Now, do you want to present anything at this time, or
I'm not counsel for 2015, I'm counsel for the neighbors.
for the neighbor? Oh, I'm sorry, Bob, I didn't recognize you in a suit. Fair enough. Okay, is there anyone here appearing for 2015?
Good evening. I'm here appearing, yes, a housekeeping matter at first. I just wanted to inform you that we are going to record the proceeding this evening in accordance with General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20F.
That's fine. It's already being recorded,
Okay.
as you know, and that's available for public viewing by anyone.
Understood. We would like to do our own recording.
That's fine.
Given the stakes an issue here tonight. So, good evening, Chair Lawrence and fellow members of the Historic Commission. My name is Kelly Jordan Price. I'm an attorney at Hinckley, Allen & Snyder, 28 State Street in Boston. I am here tonight representing Robert Bronca, the trustee of the ANC Realty Trust. He is the owner of the property. The town, I know there's been some confusion.
He hasn't notified the town of that yet.
He has
Right.
notified the town of
Okay,
that. I
okay.
think the town's just behind in its housekeeping
Okay.
matters. We're here tonight with a full reservation of all rights. I've submitted 2 letters now to the Historic Commission. We're here in good faith. We believe the commission has no jurisdiction over this matter, but out of courtesy and respect, we're here tonight, and we're hoping we can reach a resolution of what is happening here. There appears to be some confusion about the project at issue. 2015 Main Road is of course located in the historic district. It's waterfront property with single-family home built in the early 1970s. The project entails the construction of an engineered retaining wall pursuant to plans prepared by Land Planning dated April 25th of 2023. There were retaining walls on the property previously that were actually higher than these retaining walls, and they were failing. So I just wanted to make note of that. In addition to the construction of the retaining wall layout, Mr. Bronca also received a separate permit to construct an underground pool at the property. The poured concrete walls will be covered with fieldstone to make the walls compatible with the existing stone wall boundaries at the property. Now, on May 16th of 2023, this past May, Mr. Bronca received a building permit from the building commissioner for the retaining wall work. His permit application had been accompanied by detailed plans for the project, which showed the exact proposed dimensions for the retaining wall layout. There were several pages of plans, very detailed. The building commissioner approved those specific plans. Again, those plans depicted the retaining wall layout, including the location of a proposed pool equipment vault. In advance, this is critical, in advance of the issuance of that building permit, and in accordance with what I understand to be town procedure, it is my understanding that Building Commissioner Souza, with those detailed plans in hand, conferred with the Historic Commission regarding the project and inquired whether a certificate would be required from the commission.
Let me stop you there. That's absolutely incorrect. Just so
He
you know.
did make a phone call to me and asked
But
if-
he's not the commission.
He did make a phone call to me with just a question, and the question was whether a swimming pool would require review by the commission.
An at-grade swimming pool, not visible from
In
a
our
public way.
bylaw, the swimming pool, if it is at grade, and I said, is this at grade or is it above ground swimming, above ground? I said, we have review over anything that is being constructed that is above grade. We consider that a structure. Okay, this is the phone call now. So yes, he did ask, and I said it would be if it was at grade. Also, I said they would be required to have a certificate of non-applicability if that was the case, to prove that this was the case, as we always do. Our procedure is to, anytime any construction that is done within the district must be applied for, whether it is in view even from the public ways, which means the river and Main Road. So if it is not in view, it still has to come before the commission. But we have expedited that so they would not have to come before a public hearing, and they fill out an application and check off non-applicability. Then it is the responsibility of the applicant to present plans along with that application to the clerk. The clerk then reviews those plans and can make a determination whether it is truly non-applicable. That's the procedure.
Okay,
And
well-
that was not followed.
Okay, with all due respect, I wasn't there when the procedure, when
Right.
the approvals were granted, but it was our understanding and the homeowner's understanding that the Historic Commission had in fact told the building commissioner that a certificate was not required. And what happened at that
Well,
point
this
is,
isn't true, okay? Because I was the one.
I'm saying what our understanding
Okay.
was. So our understanding was that a certificate was not required. We had approved plans. We were given building permits, 2 separate building permits, one for this retaining wall system and the other for a pool. This is back in May. My client has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars moving forward with this project. And here we are in December with what the commission has issued a notice of violation, and the building commissioner is purported to issue a stop work order. My client has proceeded in what we understood to be the practice of the Historic Commission in conjunction with the building commissioner in terms of issuing approvals for these projects. His construction started back in September, and we didn't receive any kind of word or correspondence until November, which I don't think was not a coincidence, was when neighbors started harassing my client, going onto his property, trying to stop construction work that was going on there. And I have taken a look at both the general laws that empower the Historic Commission as well as this commission's bylaws, and it's very clear to me that under the bylaws, walls fall outside of the commission's jurisdiction.
Let me clarify that then. A building consists of walls, but buildings and structures fall under our jurisdiction, and this is undeniably a structure. It includes a mechanical room. It basically, if we call raised septic mounds a structure, and this one is some 100 times bigger than a raised septic mound. So
With
there's,
all due respect, I would take the position that these are walls. There is no there is a pool vault that was clearly depicted on the plans that the building commissioner approved.
never came
That
before.
does not need to be there. It's just housing the pool equipment. That can be open to the air. We don't need anything housing that in. These are walls, which fall outside of the jurisdiction.
Excuse
No.
me, but that was a change of grade. You've changed the grade, right? If you're talking about walls,
If I could clarify, I'm the homeowner, Rob Bronca. It's technically a 2-family home, that's the way, and there are 2 separate grades, actually there are multiple grades. The patio construction where the walls come up is lower than the retaining walls that were replaced. That's at grade with the first level. There's a second unit beneath, which is not used as a second family, but it is legally a 2-family house with separate grades.
Yeah, but what you've done is taken an area of approximately, I don't know, 90 by 60 or whatever, and raised it 9 feet, and then it comes and feathers out up to the house.
So, again, through the chair, there were existing retaining walls that are higher than the ones that are there now. They were covered by shrubbery, but they were plain concrete retaining walls. They were there, they were failing, they were supporting earth, which I removed and then replaced. So what was there, it was already there. The only wall that was not there is the one that's perpendicular to the shore.
Mr. Bronca, when
Yes.
you do apply to the Historic Commission for your certificate, you will present those photographs then? And they would appear on your application to the building inspector, right? Your landscape designer will have a before, an existing, what the elevations are with the grade lines to show us exactly what was there when you started construction. And then we would like the other drawing to show what is being proposed, which would have the elevation grade lines, so we can verify that.
Well, those walls are gone. We don't, the old photographs.
What did the plan include?
You have the photographs
What-
from when
what-
you bought the house.
Yeah, the listing photographs.
The listing photographs, and they're very clear that this is a huge elevation and grade for much of that property.
I disagree with that. Compared to what was there before, it's not that significant a difference. difference.
You're saying these walls were here before and you just replaced them?
That's the wall you just pointed to is the wall I just said was not, the only one that was not there.
Oh, that's a big wall. What is it, 9 feet?
Again,
Pretty visible.
wall.
Do we have drawings of what this is, the drawing from the landscape architect? I don't, maybe that's premature. That's premature because we're just discussing whether it has to come. before
What's the next step?
commission. Yeah. But you do have that,
Yes.
the plans that the building inspector approved.
The plans the building inspector approved were presented to the commission. I've done, this is the third time I've done this.
It has been presented.
To whom?
To you through the building inspector.
No.
Oh,
No,
This is the
never,
third time I've done it.
never presented, nothing. And my understanding is that the phone call was made with your first application, which was only basically a site plan saying a pool and saying retaining wall without any elevations. So that when he called Mr. Kendall, he didn't even realize that the elevations were going to be 9 feet high.
The plans are complete, they completely depict everything that.
The pool, I thought there were two sets of plans here, isn't that true?
There's one set of plans and permits. because there were two
Well, the first permit apparently did not have a complete set of plans with it.
Yes, it did.
Or did.
It's the same set of plans.
I guess we're both being misinformed by the building inspector.
I wouldn't say he was informed anyway.
Okay.
Again, I've been through this process before, including at 203 Main Road, which I was the immediate previous owner of.
Mhm.
And I obtained a certificate because I was told after I filed the building, for a building permit, that I needed to apply for a certificate.
Mhm.
And I've done another project on this house, the same thing happened. And I did the same exact thing. So I feel like I've complied with everything. And I watched your hearing last month, where you, 3 separate times, explained the process. And it's exactly the process I went through. I thought I was following the rules. I'm not trying to skirt or avoid anything.
Well, what happened after the stop order was issued? I understand you continued to work.
The day that I got it, I preached in the front, there was something taped to my door. That was the last day of work. They had to close up the property, they moved all the equipment off-site that day. And someone came onto the property and said they were gonna arrest anyone associated with the project. That's kidnapping, because they are not a law enforcement officer and there's no crime.
Who said that? Who said that?
Do I need to get affidavits? I didn't want to get this far, right? I followed the rules.
Okay,
Can I
okay,
address-
well, enough for this part of it. So, is that the end of your presentation, or is there more?
I wanted to just address one point.
Okay.
In connection with this stop work order, because
Mhm.
there's a separate permit for a pool. There has never been a stop work order issued in connection with a pool permit. So there was, that was the subject I sent, the commission a letter on Friday, December 1st, explaining that situation. So what happened at that point, the pool is a separate permit. A constable comes out and starts threatening arrest to pool contractors who are working under a permit on private property. And there was never any type of stop work order in connection with the pool permit. But in any event, we're here tonight, my client has acted in complete and utmost good faith, understanding that he was following the procedure that the town has for moving forward with his project. He was issued 2 building permits. He understood, for better or for worse, that the commission had signed off on the work and had determined that no certificate was required. And he has now spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on a project and has a site that is very unsafe. And he wants to be able to figure out a path forward so he can complete this project on his property, which is going to be absolutely beautiful. And it's going to comport with the historic character with the type of field stones that he's going to make sure that that wall, and we are strongly in our conviction that this is a wall that is not subject to the commission's jurisdiction. So we would request that the commission issue a certificate of non-applicability to comport with what we understand was issued to the building inspector, building commissioner back in May.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Robert Feingold, I believe you're appearing on behalf of some interested parties.
Yes.
You want to tell us whatever you have to tell us? Say whatever you have to say?
Good evening, everybody. I'm here for
Hardy.
Can you hear me okay?
Much better.
Speak up, yeah. Speak up and point it directly at your mouth.
I am not going to speak right now about all the violations of the procedures that have been committed here.
Okay.
I would like to point out, number one, that our clients have not trespassed. Number two, that they only became aware of this when they started building the wall, which was early November. And it takes time to consider what you're gonna do about something like that. It's very clear that the applicant or the non-applicant knows the process because he's employed it before. He's been before this commission in the proper way for other projects that he's done. There's no question that when you do something in the historic district, you're supposed to get one of 3 permits, and he didn't apply at all.
Not a permit, it's a certificate, but other than that.
And he did. The idea that the swimming pool is at grade is almost comical. You've seen the photographs, it's 9 feet above grade. The idea that it's a wall and not a structure is belied by the fact that there's a building, or there's a room in the wall. There's an equipment room with a window and a door.
My understanding is that the plans even describe it as a structure.
So there's no question in our mind that the appropriate thing to do now is to continue to stop work, do what you're supposed to do, apply for a certificate, and we'll talk about the merits at that time.
Thank you. Do I hear any other public comments or questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yeah.
Roger Smires, Town Council, before you proceed with any
Yeah.
further discussion, the commission should still take the procedural step of voting to ratify your issuance of the notice and order.
Oh, absolutely. Do I hear a motion?
To what?
I so
Ratify
move.
the stop order that has been issued.
Not the stop work order, the notice of violation.
The notice of violation that has been issued. Thanks.
I so move.
I second.
All, so let's do a roll call.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Bolter, aye.
Rudd Lawrence, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Shook eye.
Walden, aye.
Okay. Thank you. Anything, any other procedural steps I should follow before asking for public
Well, the
comment?
only other is that this is not a public hearing, so you are not required
To take public comments?
Public comment. You can discuss amongst yourselves as the commission in public meeting
Okay.
whether to proceed or how to proceed, including whether to vote that the steps that the applicant has submitted to you as the remediation plan are sufficient or insufficient. If you determine that they are insufficient, then the commission has the option of making a motion to proceed with enforcement, which under your rules and regulations would require you to go before the board of selectmen to ask for authorization to engage town council to proceed with a superior court action.
Okay. We shall proceed with the discussion.
And another option would be to, continue things and allow the applicant or the owner to submit an application for any of the 3 certificates that are contemplated.
Very good. Discussion? Whoop. Yeah.
I had a question for the owner. So I saw a couple of sets of plans. One of them, I think, was for a permit that was issued March 28th. Is that correct? Is that when the first permit was issued?
I believe it was.
And what I saw, and maybe it wasn't a complete set, but there were no elevations on that drawing. Maybe there was one elevation of a disembodied pool.
I
So
have the plans here.
would you show us what?
I don't know if we should get into plans.
Well, it has to do with whether we're doing unclean hands or not. basically.
Yeah, plans approved. Through the chair, these are the plans submitting, showing the walls, elevations, all the dimensions, materials, subgrades,
And that-
everything that's there.
By the
we
way,
proceeded according-
you don't need to go through me, but thank you.
Sorry, I'm trying to follow
Was,
procedure.
I
was there,
understand.
was there a prior permit? This was issued May 16th. Looks like, was there a prior permit? When was the first permit issued?
This is the one that I've authorized, that is, the construction has proceeded in accordance with this plan.
But there was, my understanding, there was
This
an
one was-
initial plan for the pool, just the pool. But maybe I'm wrong.
No, everything is contained in this plan.
Uh-huh. Well, everything subsequent, but if we could get the stamped original plan, that would assure us that that's what was there originally.
I'll request it from the building
I
department.
appreciate that, thank you.
But is it correct that there were two permits issued?
There are 2 permits issued.
And are you saying that the plans that were submitted for the first permit were exactly the same ones that were submitted for the second?
I'd have to check with my contractors, but I've only been working, I've done bids, sorry,
Yeah.
get on the record. I've done bids through this set of plans. The reason that there were 2 permit applications, and there were 2 separate contractors, everyone's fully insured, everyone's fully licensed, their internal procedures and their insurance required them to get the permits in the way they did, to my understanding.
Okay, because our understanding is that this original one was just the pool contractor, and it didn't include all of that detail.
Didn't include
It
elevations.
didn't include elevations.
Well, everything has been submitted to the town since last spring, to my understanding. Well, I know it is. They're stamped last spring, months before I began the project. And I do feel obligated to note, I've done things that the permit did not require. Silt fencing, stake hay bales, well outside the buffer zone, but it's the right thing to do because of where the project is, where we want to live. It was the right thing to do. So we did it, where we've spent much more money than we would have been required to do to meet the building codes and the other codes. The pool equipment vault was to keep the equipment off-site, right, of my neighbors. I don't have to do it, I can fill it with dirt, put some bushes around it, I don't want to do that. We were willing to do that so that it was not visible. We are selecting fieldstones and broken ledge that are characteristic of walls throughout the region. Again, select process. I'm not getting pallets of stone that I can buy from any yard. We're spending extra money to use stones that are used throughout the region. This is not a situation where my family tried to skirt anything. It's obvious. How would I hide this? That it's insane to think I tried to do something without your approval. Again, I owned that house that was just up there before and got a certificate of appropriateness after I filed a building permit and was told I needed to apply, so I did. Again, I'm an attorney, I'm a real estate developer. I've gotten lots of zoning and planning board and other relief in other parts of the country, including this state. And typically, you have to be denied a permit before you can seek relief. I was not denied a permit because I was told I did not need a certificate. Again, I'm aware of the process. I watched your hearing because I'm concerned with you changing your guidelines, updating them, modernizing them. I watched the hearing, I heard at least 3 separate descriptions of what the process that I just went through is. And it was exactly what I went through. I can quote, Ralph does a great job. It's very thorough. Clerk does a great job. Before, I believe it was you, Kendall,
Yes,
said that
Of course.
before you got here, everyone had to come to the commission first before they went to a pilot building permit. And then, now, that's not what we do. We
No,
rely,
that's
because
not you get
true.
true.
Hundreds of phone calls every
that's
week.
that's not true at all.
It's on record, I'm telling you what I just
Wait a
want.
minute, just repeat that again, I'm
Sure.
confused.
You said before you were on the commission, applicants all were required to appear before the commission on everything. Now you use the town employees as a screening process, and they do an excellent job.
No,
and
no,
they're very
no,
thorough.
let me clarify.
Not the
that.
town
No,
employees.
as I said
Play
before,
it.
no, as I said,
don't wanna go
I can quote myself. I said, Ralph Souza, the building inspector, does an excellent job
Yes.
in looking over the work that's being done in the historic district. The procedure that we have now is that everything that is done in the district, any construction is done in the district, is applied for. And
Through
if it is
some
not
certificate,
Hmm?
through some certificate.
If it is, do the certificate, and if it is, if the client, applicant feels it is non-applicable, he checks off non-applicability. Now, anyone that did anything in the district prior to a few years ago had to have a public hearing. We've been trying to avoid people having to come for these public hearings if they have to replace a clapboard on the back of their house or some shingles,
With exactly the same thing.
because they're like for like. To repair shingles or even a fascia board or something like that does not have to come to the commission now. It did before. So we then have expedited this by having it applied for. The clerk then is the person who gets that certificate and then looks it over, decides whether it is truly non-applicable. Now, it is
The
up
clerk,
to,
the clerk and the chair.
and the chair, that's
Both of
right.
us.
And it is up to the applicant to prove that it is not applicable, whether it can be seen from a public way. That's one of our big issues. People come in and say it can't be seen from the public way. Well, we take a look at it and say there's a bunch of trees. Well, we don't, trees are not part of our review, but trees can be cut down. And if trees are cut down, then it's in the public view, either from the river or from the road. So that is our procedure. I don't know where you're getting yours.
Having done it before, in reading the statute, I'm an attorney, I read it in good faith. It's black letter law. Mr. Lawrence, you and I had a conversation. We disagreed about what it meant, but I believe I was acting in good faith, reading it, saying you didn't have jurisdiction. So when I got my permit approved, I assumed I didn't need to get a certificate because you don't have jurisdiction to issue them.
But you do need to get a certificate,
I
and
disagree.
you disagree.
Can you-
So
can you
does that
tell us-
mean you're not intending to get a certificate? What does
I
that
did
mean?
not say that. I'm saying I'm here in good faith to explain the process, that why we're here. And my family is emotionally distraught, and my children's financial future is in jeopardy. We went through this process in good faith by the black letter of the law. And 7-8 months later, after the walls were there for weeks, the forms were there for weeks. I'm sorry.
The first I heard
Let me
about
finish.
this is November 7th. First I heard about it. I had no knowledge of this before that, of any kind.
Well, the permits have been issued for a while, and I waited until after Labor Day to begin, so as to be at least.
We don't review every permit that the building inspector issues. Maybe we should, but we don't. It's not part of of our
If
process.
you're undergoing a guideline review, that's perhaps something that should come up. However, like I said, we acted in good faith based on the black letter of the law. I'm not making it up. I mean, how would I hide this project? Why would I hide it?
I have a comment. It's a kind of side issue, but not without merit. If you have been gone to such lengths to be considerate of your neighbors, as you say, with materials and other things, why did they feel the need to hire an attorney to represent them to fight this?
They can speak for themselves.
Oh, and we would-
But did you speak to them about it and show them the plans ahead of time?
Some of my neighbors did, yes.
Are there any neighbors here where that's the case?
No,
Which neighbors?
absolutely not.
I prefer not to get them involved in this because it's getting contentious. This is a full run.
But wouldn't you think it reasonable, did you build the house originally?
This house, no, I bought the house. It's not
How-
a historic home.
I know that. You said mid-'70s, I had heard
1980,
1980. Have you done any renovations on the house?
yes.
Did you not have to get a permit? Did you not have to get a certificate of appropriateness or
Applicability, try
for
that.
that work.
When I replaced the roof, there were 3 skylights. There was a question as to whether one of them was visible from Valentine Lane. So I applied for a building permit. I was told I needed to get a certificate because of that.
And you
then we
did?
got one, but I was told, I did the same process I did now, on this same house. I relied on that process.
But it didn't occur to you, as somebody who's involved in real estate and also an attorney, that if you're building a 9-foot wall, which is visible from the water, that wasn't going to be a little more jarring than a skylight, which was visible from Valentine Lane? But for Valentine Lane, or the visibility of the skylight from Valentine Lane, you had to get a certificate of appropriateness.
But I wasn't told I needed to apply for one until after I applied for a building permit, which is my experience in real estate. Again, wall, use the word wall.
I don't care what's happening
and
in.
outside your jurisdiction.
Do you have a copy of our guidelines?
I do.
Did you have it when you bought your house? Was it given to you at some point?
I
Since
own
you've
203 Main
lived in?
Road, so I went through that when I went.
Okay,
to
so
do it.
you've had it for a while. Did you look at it?
Yes, yes.
Because you're saying the letter of the law, but it's very clear in our guidelines that you didn't follow them.
The enabling legislation at the state and the town level, which you discussed in your last hearing, specific, and I know you know this because you said you were frustrated you did not have jurisdiction over walls, November 6th.
We have, yeah, but we do over structures, and this is clearly a structure.
And grade changes.
Yeah. And grade changes, yes.
Mr. Branca, will you be applying then for a certificate of non-applicability?
I'm going to speak to your counsel, and we're going to make a decision.
So you're not committing to anything at this point?
I believe the stakes are so high, and I have counsel here, I need to confer with my counsel, that
Okay.
I'm not going to make any commitments. I think it would be foolish.
Would it be possible for you to confer with your counsel before we leave this evening?
I'd be happy to have an off-the-record discussion.
And our counsel as-
And your
as-
counsel, yes, you represented by counsel.
You know,
We offered that the first letter, that we
Okay.
wanted to sit down, have a discussion, show you everything,
well,
and have a complete discussion.
I mean, hopefully you're not showing them anything you haven't shown us, because I think that's what we're trying to do, is get to the bottom of things.
So
Absolutely.
possibly you could apply for a certificate, and by our next meeting, then we would be sending out notices to abutters, we would have an official public hearing, and all the plans will be here for us with your designer to answer questions, as we do with all of our hearings.
It's possible.
Okay.
And all your abutters will be notified of that public hearing.
Yeah.
I've noticed that public notices are spotty, but, you know.
Well, there's quite a substantial attendance here this evening, so it's,
Okay,
Can I
yes.
ask another question?
Yes.
So, I noticed in your plans that there were several items that were not specified completely. I don't recall the granite facade being specified. I mean, you didn't provide a
I have
sample of
photographs of
it.
it, I'll be happy to show them to you.
Okay, but you haven't.
No.
There's also a stainless steel and glass railing that's planned for the top of that structure.
There's no decision has been made on the fence.
But it's mentioned that there'll be a railing, a stainless steel and glass
Well,
railing.
the
Were you
building code requires a fence because of the height of the wall.
It doesn't require a fence, it requires a railing.
A
Were you,
minimum of a railing.
were you planning to bring that before us?
I can.
Is there any other aspect of this structure that you
There
were
was-
planning to bring before us?
in one of Ms. Jordan Pierce's letters, she talks about, and there will be absolutely no jurisdiction over the terrace. Well, possibly that railing is part of the terrace. I mean, basically what I'm saying is, we'd like to know what you aren't telling us.
I have not hidden
Good-
anything.
good try.
It'd be very difficult to hide this project, as I.
We noticed
said
that.
the third time.
Everybody here would probably agree with that.
After the fact, that's true.
Can you tell us roughly when,
After a permit, that's true.
can you tell us roughly when this structure first rose above grade? There was a lot of work, I'm sure,
September,
putting in footings.
September.
So the footings were already above grade.
They were, and then forms went up, they were up, then the concrete cured in the forms, weeks. So I feel it's somewhat intentional and indicative of motive on, I don't know whose part, I'll find out if I have to get me to a point where the maximum financial harm would be.
Oh,
It's indisputable.
are your neighbors summer folk?
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes,
if the owner wants to have discussion between council, I'd suggest.
now's the time to do it.
And I would suggest that you make a motion to recess while that happens
And we will have no discussion in that interim.
Exactly.
I would like to have a discussion with both sets of council, and we'll hear back from you, and we're in recess.
No.
And we will not be discussing this amongst ourselves, or hearing from anybody to hear a discussion about it. Thank you. Okay, can we call the meeting back to order, please? Okay. Do we have some kind of, yes,
Can I have an opportunity to speak?
sure.
First, I'd like to give you a copy of the first application in March.
Okay,
He doesn't remember it, but here it is.
okay. Thank you.
Secondly, I don't.
You don't?
Second, I want to show you a picture that Ralph Souza took. It's in the file at the board, at the building department. This was taken in mid-October, and it shows a flat swimming pool. Anybody who saw it would think this is an in-ground, at-grade pool. That's in October 13. People were wondering why the neighbors didn't do anything. Here's the reason. That doesn't look like a 9-foot above-grade pool.
Okay. And this does confirm what I had said earlier, that the first set of plans didn't show any elevations.
Exactly.
Okay.
Ignorance of the law, especially on the part of a lawyer, is no defense. He knew that he had to come to you for one of the 3 certificates because he applied for one way before this. I'm not questioning good faith, but there's questions to be made.
Thank you. Okay. Now, do we have?
So, first I'd like to respond to that. I believe that's impugning my motives. I'm not sure what my motive would be to skirt jurisdiction of something that's obvious to the world. I don't know what you think I'd be hiding. I'm insulted by it. My children are petrified. There have been people coming onto my property screaming at my contractors, people flying drones, where my children sleep with cameras. Understand where we are right now. Now, I'm going to need to reserve my rights. I do want to cooperate with the commission. Done this before. I appreciate the point. I like the points of my second property here. We will come before you. We have an agreement with council. We're reserving our rights. We still are going to assert no jurisdiction, but we will file for a certificate of appropriateness and a certificate of non-applicability. But we will provide you with all the information you seek. We'll meet you on site. We'll walk you through everything. I have no problem with any of that. Again, we thought we were following the rules, the way we've done it before.
And you will stop work until?
Work has stopped.
Okay, and it'll be continued to stop until
Well,
such time
I
as?
need to keep people off the property because it's dangerous.
Mhm.
So I'm going to put on a gate, so I need to do that. There'll be a construction fence there.
It's temporary, it's temporary.
Correct.
You know, even to put up a temporary gate probably requires a certificate of non-applicability, does it
Not a
not?
temporary structure.
Well, but who's determining, well, okay.
Safety. There's the-
No, I understand. Let's say there's an exception for safety. Okay. Discussion?
Only,
Mr. Chair, if I may, before you discuss,
Mhm.
it's the recommendation of town council that you allow the owner to proceed as he's described it, and not take any vote as to the sufficiency or insufficiency of the proposed remediation plan at this time, and thus not proceed with a vote as to any enforcement action. So that's the recommendation of town
I'll
council.
just leave things as they stand.
And allow the owner to submit the application that he's just described.
Okay, I appreciate that, thank you.
My question is the owner said he was going to submit 2 applications, one of non-applicability and one of appropriateness. Which is it? Or why both?
Because I need to preserve my rights. The stakes are too high. And I have an agreement with council that that's an appropriate way to proceed.
Mr. Chair, if I may,
Yes?
I see no issue under your rules and regulations or Chapter 40C with an owner seeking either a certificate of non-applicability, and then if that's denied, a certificate of appropriateness, and doing so through the same application process.
However, the latter is going to require a public hearing,
That should
and
proceed.
the abutters will be notified.
Yes.
And you understand the timeline on that. It has to be delivered 3 weeks before our next meeting. Okay, good.
And that should be done, and then were a certificate of non-applicability to be approved, then that would obviously obviate the need for the certificate of appropriateness.
Understood.
I see no issue with dual tracking that.
Okay. Any further discussion here? And it doesn't sound like anybody's making a motion to take any further action. I think we're concluded with that discussion. Is that correct? Good.
See you
I'd like
in
to say I'm
January.
delighted to see so many people have come out for this meeting. I would like to encourage you all to participate even more. We're probably going to be setting up an advisory committee, and we'd love to have people on that, or quite frankly, we're always welcoming new members on the commission. Thank you. Okay. Yes, we have more agenda items. We have more business, has nothing to do. You're, take your leave. Okay. Let's give it a minute to let the room clear.
Have a good evening, everyone.
You too. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Roger. Guys, if you're gonna talk, clear the room. Enough already. Don't keep sitting and talking. Leave and talk. Okay, on to the next item of business. We're losing Bob, and I would like to thank Bob for everything he's done, all of the work he's done for us to date. And yes, a round of applause is well in order. It's not. I understand that it's too far to travel, and it's probably no more fun for you than it is for us. But thank you. We do appreciate it. Now, that necessitates some changes amongst ourselves. I've been searching for a replacement for Bob, and so far have not found one. We can have a non-member recording secretary, which is basically the role he's taken on. But we also have a position, obviously, in our bylaws of a secretary. And I think what that means is that we need a secretary by next meeting. And the question of, okay, I have a couple of thoughts on this, so let me explain them before we go any much further. I've decided that one of the things we should try to do going forward is that not have any position basically have no backup. Now, I know Deborah's been backing up Caroline, and that's great. But for example, Michael is the liaison with Town Farm, and you're the liaison with the Historical Society.
CPC.
And, well, but aren't you, who's handling the Historical Society review?
I'm not technically a
You're not-
liaison with the, I mean, I'm not sure we have such a liaison.
We don't have such a liaison. Well, maybe we should, quite frankly. Well, what I'm thinking is we should have two people, who can back each other up, and also someone to talk things over with, what's the best way to deal with whatever the issue comes before us, because the Historical Society does come before us about their properties, the Handy House, the Wolf Pit School, the Bell School, all of those properties. And it would be nice if we, and just to get our advice. Now, I'll continue to talk more about Town Farm a little later, but right now, let's talk about clerk and secretary. My thinking on this is, Deborah, how would you like to become secretary?
I would need to know what that entails, because I'm already having the clerk duties, and
Well, part of it is the clerk duties now include some of the duties that fall upon the secretary under our rules and regulations. And so we would break it up so that you and Caroline could, again, both know what the other is doing, back each other up. But the main thing would be, we need someone to take notes and write up minutes next meeting.
and I'm terrible at that. I can't do that
Okay,
part.
well, then is there someone else here who is better at that?
Don't look at me.
I'm,
Bob is irreplaceable.
we need someone.
We need someone.
We need someone to replace Bob. We need somebody who's dead.
Well, that's true, but in the interim, we need stopgap someone. Someone who can just do it temporarily, if nothing else.
I had a question, Bob, maybe you know this. When do the videos of the meetings get posted? In time to use them to prepare minutes? 2 days.
2 days. So in other words, you wouldn't have to be scribbling nonstop during the meeting. You could actually participate in the meeting and then view the video and take the minutes
Right.
from the meeting.
Right.
That's a very good idea.
Yeah.
It's a little easier, isn't it?
It is a little easier. Anybody? Yes?
I would be willing to help you out on that. I can't do it in January, but I would be glad to. You used to have a secretary from outside.
Yes, that's correct. Well, it's not a complete secretary, it's just a recording secretary. Basically, what Bob is doing is recording secretary. There are other duties that should stay in-house. Yeah.
They don't have to.
Okay, no, you don't have to.
I
The
forget it.
secretary under the
Okay.
rules and regs does not have to be on the commission. Everybody else has to be on the commission.
Okay,
And I could maybe help you find someone.
that would be terrific.
My suggestion was the person who preceded you, a nice young woman who lived on Mullen Hill Road.
You didn't want to do it anymore,
Oh,
isn't
didn't
that
she?
correct?
Well, I thought she was having a baby or something.
I have the same issue with CPC.
So you're gonna,
We're trying to find
you're
the clerk.
dedicated to finding
Trying to find the clerk is very difficult.
a secretary.
Yeah.
Secretary.
No. I
Well,
mean,
for you, it's a
whatever,
clerk, okay,
it's all,
whatever, yes.
For him.
Yeah.
Remember, hymns do that too.
Yes.
Is it a paid position?
We've been paying $25 an hour.
So if CPC had someone and then they did this, that's
Yeah.
low.
Right, it would help supplement somebody's income, yes.
Betty,
I can't find anyone. The person
I
I
know.
have is excellent.
I know, I've been looking too, so we've probably been overlapping.
Betty, that person then would not have to come to meetings. They could write the minutes from the video recordings.
Except, okay, yes, that's actually true.
It's a good job for
That's not bad.
right?
The video recordings.
Bob, if it doesn't
I spent a
require
lot of
you to
time
travel,
watching
what do you
video
think?
recordings this week. They're not super easy.
No, it's not ideal. It's not ideal.
It's not ideal at all.
But there may be,
Ideally.
Okay, you
but
don't
also
want
we
to
could
do it.
have a
You're
recording.
out,
made.
okay, thanks,
They
though.
could make an actual tape recording here at the meeting.
True.
Was the video hard to hear what people were saying?
The tape
Yeah,
recording might
it's-
be better. If someone were here with the tape recorder, that probably would be easier.
There's a lot of paper movement.
Boy.
It gets in the problem of visual stuff that someone's presenting.
That's true. That's true. Well, I would try, if that were the case, I would be more like we were tonight, do everything by roll call, that sort of thing, just so that it's clear. Okay. Well, yeah,
One thought, Greg Noble, that guy. So, see, Michael, is there any way that in the interim, and this will be to Betty, she seems to know all the laws, that the position could rotate amongst the members of the commission?
I think that's a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
You have to learn certain procedures and follow them, and if there are different people doing it, they're not following
No, I
the
just
same.
meant in the interim. that-
No, I understand, but I still say it's a recipe for disaster,
Okay.
yeah.
See, if you follow your rules and regulations, the secretary does the recording, but he also takes the certificates to the town clerk, gets them stamped, and delivers them
Right.
to the building department, and to the applicant, and they file them. So
The clerk is
there are
doing
a lot,
that now.
a
I know, yes.
secretary with the historical commission is much like a clerk.
Right.
The clerk actually organizes the meetings in the sense of bringing in the applications, organizing them, telling the chair what is going to happen.
Something-
And work with clients, work with applicants to make sure they have all the information,
It's needed,
which information. So
Too, yeah.
that's limited.
right. I
But the
should,
secretary is not limited,
it's pretty broad, and I should mention another one of the roles of the secretary is to take the certificates of non-applicability and bring them to my attention so that we can together make the decision whether that we need to either go back to the applicant or bring it in front of the entire commission.
correct.
Okay, yes.
Question on what you just said. When did that new procedure come into play?
2008.
2008.
No, what I'm talking about is the thing where not all things need to come before the commission to see if they need to be approved or
The
not.
streamlining process?
Yes, the streamlining.
I would say
Because I
about
think-
5 years ago,
That was 5 years ago?
or a little more. It was actually just when I became a member of the commission. I don't know how long I was on, but prior to that, it was my suggestion that we expedite the process, you know.
And of course, Ralph, being our enforcement officer, building inspector, and zoning officer, was privily informed that this was the new procedure for the commission.
Very much.
So-
Well, except that he misunderstood what the procedure was. Right, okay.
I'm
Yeah,
making a point.
yeah, yeah.
That's why I came.
Okay, good.
Came to support
Yeah.
the commission
Mhm.
because most of the time I'm here arguing against the commission for not doing their job.
Hmm.
And this has been going on since the 70s,
Okay.
up through probably a little bit before you came on board, where the commission was always staffed with people who offered entree to the district, architects in our community,
Mhm.
one of which was here tonight,
Mhm.
sat on the commission, brought their projects in, got them approved. Architects came in that knew someone, submitted drawings, if someone had to recuse themselves because they were on the commission. Somewhere there are tons of drawings by architects that don't even have signatures on them. So your job is now so difficult because there's so much
History,
precedent
yes.
of bad decisions.
That's why legal
So, which
documents
is
grow
why-
from 4 pages to 400.
Which is why so this is probably the first one that's backfired. I mean, this pool thing.
Hmm.
Due to streamlining, because if you're smart and you're an attorney, as you all know, I'm not telling you anything you don't know, that's how you get something done. You start it, you build it, or you tear something down, and then you go.
Fait accompli, no, I understand.
So I think streamlining, streamlining is only good if there's good intent. If intent is to subvert procedure, then it's a brilliant way for a clever person to get around it to where we are now.
Thank you.
Now, so maybe that at some point needs to be
It does,
readdressed.
but we're right now discussing secretary and.
Because there are people in the neighborhood,
Clerk.
as you saw tonight,
Yeah,
that would be bent over backwards to support a commission that two things, held by 40C, the mandate, and didn't let what happened tonight happen, which I don't agree with, because that thing's sticking out. Every time something comes up, you have an opportunity to say, that happened in the past, it was a bad decision, we're not going to allow it anymore. But then what they'll do, if the client has enough money, they'll run to Superior Court, they'll have the judge come down, go through the neighborhood and walk you through and say, there's one, there's one, there's one, and there's one. And the judge in Superior Court will go, yeah, okay, I'm going to allow it. Kit Weiss's thing tonight should never have been allowed, and you all know it. But because it was safe, it wasn't blocking anyone's view, which is always the litmus test. Hey, it's not blocking my view. But as soon as you block someone's view.
okay, you're going way off
No,
topic. I'm
I-
gonna
I-
ask you to stop, please. We're in the middle of discussing different business. If you
Okay.
want to do this at the very end of the meeting, you
All
can
right.
stay through the end of the meeting. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Because we've gone way off point here. Okay, now we were discussing, if I believe, secretary, and now you're willing to be appointed secretary until we can find a substitute, is that correct? Do I hear a motion?
I move that Betty become our secretary.
I second that.
All those in favor, let's go. Michael?
I should.
I, Deborah Chiaffi.
William Kendall, aye.
Rudd Lawrence, aye?
Caroline Volter, aye.
Garrett Stuck, no.
No.
I don't think
Okay.
it's fair to Betty.
Oh.
I don't think it's fair to Betty.
Just for a few weeks.
Okay.
Got it, got
I will
it,
try
okay.
to find someone for both CPC and Historical Commission. Okay?
Okay, thank you. Next item of business is discussion regarding the creation of an advisory committee. I think this is actually part of kind of a larger scheme, which is once we get people involved, maybe we can get more people on the commission, have more alternates, so we don't find that we're all overburdened. Correct? Okay. So the advisory committee is permitted under our rules and regulations. My thinking was, quite frankly, I want to put Betty on it, but that's, and I think we should also maybe put, see, now I'm having a senior moment.
Jeff Wade would be
Well,
good.
Jeff Wade would be great. There's another architect Betty knows of.
Tony Miller?
Tony Millen, thank you, that's where I was going.
Cat record.
And you see, good, we're already coming up with names. I think, and what we do is they do not necessarily have any formal meetings or formal meetings with us, but we can call upon them for specific projects or aspects of the things that we do here to help out or
I
to
have a
advise
question.
us, yeah.
On how that operates with the public meeting law. Is there anything that is
Well,
going
remember, the
against
public,
that?
no, because we can, even amongst ourselves, we can have subcommittees of up to 3 people who have open discussions and then bring what they've discussed back to us. So always before a decision is made, it comes back here.
Mhm.
And as long as that's the case, it does not violate the open meeting law.
Okay.
So, do I
So
hear?
these people would be asked to serve and then they would just be called upon ad hoc.
As needed, yeah. And I think that would be helpful, and it'd be nice to get more people involved, and then we could do some of the things that Betty's been talking to us about doing, such as updating the historic inventory and you know, updating the photographs and doing all these things that somehow we don't seem to have the manpower amongst us to do. Okay?
And you also can think about people who could help you do projects, CPC projects. And we could talk to Garrett about that, but projects.
That we
where
can
you
get funding to
for.
do it, yes.
Okay, and then others can do it, and you don't have to do it.
Right.
I mean, part of it's gonna be dealing with the Wolf Pit School, and we're hoping that that comes through soon.
Good.
So all of those little things, there is money out there, and there's some money out there I already told you about, but you haven't moved on it, so I will
Good,
tell you again.
good. Thank you.
Two questions. Betty, I think you said you weren't available in January.
Yes. I can do
But she can review
video.
the video.
Oh,
I can-
okay.
I can.
That was unclear to me.
January is a very important meeting.
Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
January is a very important meeting.
We'll speak loudly and
Any
clearly
chance
into the
to stay on?
microphones.
For just January.
He just stayed for this meeting. He was supposed to leave
Yeah,
last
I know, but
meeting.
he's
I know.
very- you can get it.
What is so important in January?
Because it's going to be 2015, bringing their application for a certificate of appropriateness.
If they get all their things in time.
The application shouldn't take them. They've already got
They
it.
already have.
Yeah, he's.
I don't mind doing it.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Thank you, Bob. Okay.
One other, in terms
So
of.
wait a minute. Do we need to vote? No, you know, I don't, yes, let's vote to make that her term effective for February's meeting. Can we have a motion? Second?
Second.
All?
I, Michael Walton.
Yeah, let's make it, I'm sorry, let's,
Unpaid.
and you want to be unpaid, okay?
Unpaid.
Okay, fair enough. Unpaid, so as amended, which is unpaid and effective for the February meeting, okay?
I, Michael Walton.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Rod Lawrence, aye.
Carol Bolter, aye.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Thank you. Okay,
Can I, for this advisory committee, there was a very nice woman who came to us repeatedly, and we kept pushing her around with her windows, but I can't totally remember her name, but Jennifer Lund or something?
Okay, she came before the committee when very lovely.
She is charming.
Yes, and her father.
But do you know what her whole name is? You just caught me,
I know where she lives, I think.
yeah, a sweet little house on Main Road.
Looking to be part of this?
Well, I certainly think it would be worth her while to ask.
You know, well, we have her in the books because she came with.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can resurrect her name, but I don't right now. Nobody else. But it was, her
Could
last
you-
name was like one syllable, Lund or
Yeah.
Lift or,
okay, could you, well, if you
And
could
she
look that
got a
up.
certificate of appropriateness, I think, for the windows.
That's right.
It
Yes,
should be in
and
the
it was-
file.
Yeah.
and it kept costing her more and more money, and she kept doing it in the Sweet House.
Sweet House, you
Okay,
So we can
Good.
get her-
I will resurrect her name
Thank
and
you.
get it to you.
thank you.
So,
Or-
Okay, yes.
so who on the commission is going to be in charge
Which is an
of
unlocked one.
getting people to come?
I guess we
on?
better appoint a subcommittee, but we haven't even approved the idea of an advisory committee
Oh,
yet.
okay.
So, do we have a motion
know.
on the
I think we
advice,
approve an advisory.
the creation of an advisory committee?
I said,
Can we have some details? I mean,
Okay, can we say,
Well,
let me
What it
amend
looks
that.
like.
Yeah, are we, I mean, can we appoint a subcommittee
Let's-
to set up an advisory committee?
Do we have volunteers for the subcommittee?
I
Okay,
would volunteer for that.
okay, very good. 2, that's enough?
I'll volunteer.
Okay,
Great.
good. 3 volunteers for the subcommittee. Now, should we have a vote? Michael,
Solar.
What?
committee. Vote.
are you
Oh,
in favor of
sorry.
this motion
Yes.
as amended?
I, Michael Walton.
Beverly?
I never
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Rudd Lawrence, aye.
Caroline Bolter, aye.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Very good. Okay. Now, okay, along the same lines, another thing has come to light, which is clearly that although Ralph does a very good job, trying to keep us informed, he missed this last one. And I think we need to somehow make sure that Ralph does understand what our procedures are and what our requirements are. And there's a couple of ways to do that. I could, I suppose, write him a letter, or we could ask him to come to a meeting, or we could just ask someone to kind of sit him down and walk through the guidelines with him. I mean,
I think it would be good to have it in writing,
Uh-huh.
to write a letter.
Okay.
You wrote a beautiful one that you read earlier, but I think it would be good just to have one, because then we have it, like if somebody read the guidebook.
Very good.
For the Historic Commission and signed a paper saying that they had read it, they understand it, and they will abide by it before they buy a house, that would be something in our favor.
Okay.
If Ralph, I think Ralph needs to have it in paper and
Okay.
sign it and give it back to us and have a copy.
Okay, it sounds like I'm writing a letter.
Yes,
I
and
agree
include
that that
another
would be-
piece in the letter
But
on.
I'll have the vice chair review it.
Yeah.
And we had a little discussion about Ralph needs supplies in his at the building department. So I volunteered to go over there tomorrow morning and
Supplies?
give him copies of
Of
the
our
certificate
guidelines?
applications.
Oh, okay, good.
And also the guidelines. So
Very
if somebody
good.
comes to him and says, I'd like to do a permit, he could hand those to them and say,
Very good.
read this.
Yeah, that's all
And
we
then
should-
they would be on notice of what the rules are.
Got
So
it.
Good
if
idea.
he has those supplies at his office, it'll be a lot easier for him to.
Thank you, Deborah. Yeah.
I was there at the building department today and asked Nelia, the clerk, she said she had application forms, and that they did give them, so, it's important to talk to Nelia.
She said she had them?
Oh, because that's
She said
different
she
what
has
Ralph said,
application
right?
forms.
Oh, well, I told her she didn't have them, so I told her to
Yeah, there's tons.
get copies or
Print
make
them out?
copies of
Maybe
it.
she did, because
Okay.
today
Okay.
specifically, she said she had them.
Good.
Okay.
But it's always good,
Yeah.
But we need the guidelines there too.
everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
It's
There's a
excellent.
good supply of them over in the
The
town
rules and
halls.
regs, the laws, whole packet
A complete
in
packet.
his hand. I think that's what we did originally, many, many years ago. It was
Well, we
probably-
did that.
We did
Well,
it many
10
years
years
ago,
ago.
but
Yeah.
things
The
get
last
lost.
Sure.
Okay.
Is there any way that we could be notified of any building permit that's issued in the historic district?
Yeah,
I mean,
go
she-
ahead.
That's possible too. Do you have the application form there? One of the
I have it
examples?
online, I can pull it up.
Anyway, there's the sign-offs under that.
Which, I don't quite know what application you're looking for, because
Our
I
application,
Here.
The certificate application.
certificate
There's
application.
the sign-offs,
Uh-huh.
the sign-offs at the building permit.
Oh, that's at the
Oh,
building,
that's
these are
the
the building
building department,
departments.
That's
so-
Yeah.
building, that's what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
And so there could be.
Another add a
Another
line.
line.
Historical Commission, Historic District. Okay?
Mm.
There could be a sign-off.
But
a
what
good
if it's
idea.
streamlined?
Hmm?
How does that catch something that's streamlined?
It would catch it. It would catch it because they would
Catch
have to
everything.
check. It would catch it.
It would
That's-
catch,
It would come to you.
That's
They
exactly.
send it to the Board of Health, they send it to Concom, Planning, everybody.
Right.
And we talked about this years ago, and we never did it, and I think that would be,
Now,
Yeah,
who do
and
we
it would
have to
also-
go to get this form changed?
you'd have to go to the building department, get the form, and get permission to change it.
But,
It's gonna cost money to reprint it, to look at it. It's.
I know, it's just, okay, it's just on a piece of paper.
Could you just have something attached to it?
I wouldn't do that. I'd make it.
Make it part of the
Because this is what
form.
they look at, and the
Okay.
clerk needs to look at these things. and
Well,
She's very important.
so who exactly would be doing this? That's what I'm trying to get. The building department?
Yes,
Okay. And so I should talk to Ralph about doing this?
yes,
Okay.
see what he says.
And
And this-
so it's the historical commission and the historic district
In the,
both?
well,
Yes.
only relative to
The-
the historic district.
Well,
And
only, no,
demolitions,
because they
and
keep,
demolitions.
and demolitions, right.
And he has a list of you make sure he has a list of the inventory as it's been upgraded, which you have, I think. That's another thing you can add to him, and for the clerk to know where it is and check it out. They're very busy over there. I mean, it's really tough, so anything you can make it easier for them, where they have it right there.
What's the name of that? That's just the
This is
back
called
of,
the
that's just
town
the
of-
back
It's called the office use only, the top page.
office use page of the application for a building permit. Is that
Right.
correct?
This is what he
Okay,
fills
hold on,
out.
oh, hold on.
And so it's not a valid
Use
permit without that entire
only
signature block being filled, is that
Right.
correct?
For, application for building.
They don't fill it out carefully. If you look at applications, they're not careful.
Uh-huh.
But it's because they're overwhelmed.
Yep.
It's just too much.
Got it.
So we just gotta help them.
Got it.
I think he tries to do the best he can.
He does, he's done very well by us over the years. So wait, where are we on that? I don't think we need to vote on this. This is just something
It's housekeeping.
I'm gonna do, housekeeping. And I guess I'm doing this. So,
Did you pick monitors for 2038?
Bill and I,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
The top
They were the
ones.
September monitors carried
Yeah,
forward.
Yes, yes. Okay. Do we have any monitors reports we need to hear about?
Not that I'm aware of.
I have none.
Okay. We've talked about the certificate of non-applicability. Now, you and I are going to have to make a site visit, I'm afraid.
To Gillespie's property.
That's
Which I
correct.
can't even remember, it was on Cape Bile
It's,
Lane.
it's
Yeah,
right
you-
down the street from me. It's Frisch,
Yeah.
Henry Frisch, and Priscilla Frisch.
I had two sets of plans and this.
I have one here.
Oh, okay,
And the
I got
other
the other one.
Okay, you've got the other one?
And then
Uh,
presumably I have, where is it? Here.
This
Oh,
one?
this.
You just have to
I'll-
call him back and say, we need more
More
information.
information
This
about
is not.
shingles, yeah.
Yeah.
Although it's the
Okay.
roof, you know.
It's a roof, but he's not saying like for like, he's not saying what's there, he's not providing a photograph, he's not doing anything, right? I mean,
Hasn't dated the damn thing.
we just can't take people at their word.
And it's no timestamp on it.
Well,
I mean,
and this gets back to Greg's point that I think we need to review this fast tracking. I actually think every single certificate should come before the full committee.
Well, here's what we could do, and I'm not sure this is something we should do, but here's what we could do. We could put a delay on it in that it would have to, once the.
I'm not talking about any particular issue.
I'm
talking
talking
general issue.
about non-applicability, because the other two automatically have to come before a public
This was what
hearing.
was submitted as
So,
part of the
on
discussion.
non-applicability, right now, the procedure is, it comes to the clerk, and the clerk notifies me, and we go over it together to decide what happens next. We could, however, after doing that, say, but it still has to be voted on by the full commission, and we would have to wait an extra 30 days, or depending on what it is. I don't know if that's something we want to do or not, because of course there is the issue of getting everybody hating the historical commission because everything takes forever.
That's why we changed it.
I know
Well,
that, I know that's why
Yeah,
we changed
But
it.
it wouldn't require a public hearing. I mean, if they're applying for a
But they
certificate.
require a meeting if we wanted to bring it before the entire commission, because
gonna
otherwise
be
we
next
can't make a
month.
decision.
Yes, but it doesn't require the 3-week.
No, it doesn't require 3 weeks, but it
So-
requires, so somebody delivers it on the, the first day of after our meeting,
Mhm.
they have to wait 30 days before it
Yeah.
comes before us, and then a couple more days for the procedural.
Which I think is okay, and I think
Okay.
there's, I mean, one of the benefits of having people come before the commission is that there's a process of education that goes on. And I think what happens with these certificates of non-applicability, they submit them, you guys approve them, they go off, and they've had no guidance, there are no monitors,
Right.
right? We never look at what they're doing. They decide,
You're
oh, I'm
saying
gonna
it
make
doesn't
a little
have
change.
enough
you know.
oversight, I hear you.
Yeah, and, I mean, I'm aware of one case where I think somebody got a certificate of non-applicability for a color change on their house, and I think afterwards they kind of thought, oh, well, maybe I'll do a slightly different color that I like better. But that's the sort of thing that, if they were here before us, we would say,
You can't
show
do
us the
that.
paint color,
Right.
and this is the paint color that's approved.
Well,
Or this
How
is
do
the
other
paint
people
color
feel
that's
about this?
non-applicable.
Well, I feel that it's really a burden on someone who wants to put a roof on their house, especially when we do not review roofing materials.
I would like to say something.
she has
on
something to
that.
say about that.
It's an error. If you read chapter 40Z, section 8, section 5, basically,
It's right here.
the state allows certain things to be exempt.
Right.
The material of roofs is not allowed to be exempt. The color is exempt, but not the material. That has to be changed.
It
The
does have
second
to be
thing
changed.
is swimming pools are not exempt, period. They're not exempt unless they're not visible from a public way. But swimming pools as such are not exempt, so that's another error. So you basically need to go to town meeting, and I recommend now that all of this, that we go to town meeting, and that we ask for review authority over walls and fences, definitely, and correct the two errors that are in the bylaw. When this bylaw was written in 1974, there were people who wanted to do certain things. The swimming pool was somebody had a swimming pool.
Here they are.
And they just wanted to be sure nobody come back again and said they couldn't have a swimming pool, basically, at that time.
But Betty, the bylaws do not exempt swimming pools.
Pardon me?
The bylaws do not
I
exempt
know,
swimming
but
pools. The language is misleading. I mean,
that's,
it's,
the language is misleading. It should be
section-
taken out.
Substantially a grade, it says, and use that as an
It should be
example.
taken out.
well, it's completely unnecessary because section 7 basically says that construction that's not subject to view from a public way is exempt,
That's right.
including swimming pools.
Yeah.
But-
But that's
But that's
gratuitous.
unnecessary.
It's gratuitous.
It's
But it's
gratuitous.
misleading, and
Yeah.
it's misleading, and you don't want to put anything in there that makes people
I
say,
agree. I
swimming
agree.
pools, look, they're
Yeah.
exempt, walls, they're exempt.
Well, and there's a problem with walls, which I think, a lot of us realize tonight is houses have walls.
Yeah,
So
structures have
houses
walls.
have walls. So if you interpret that literally as any wall, then we wouldn't have any jurisdiction over the walls of houses.
And also, structural engineer designs
Right.
retaining walls.
Right.
Yeah.
So retaining, it must be a structure of a structural engineer.
But that
designs it.
that could certainly be clarified as stone walls, which I think was the,
But if you look at the definition, I don't know, I can send it around, but I went through other laws, state laws, and found the definitions of structures, and specifically includes retaining walls.
okay, good.
Specifically includes.
Well, I would think it would definitely include retaining walls, because retaining walls raise the grade.
It changes the elevation.
Yeah, but I mean, you said.
What we did not put, again, in our bylaws is that we do have jurisdiction over changes in elevation, period. I mean,
Well, you talk about at grade.
yeah,
If
so.
they're not at grade.
If they're not at grade, it
restrictions
is a
there.
change, but they're saying, oh, well, we changed the grade, so therefore it's at grade.
9
I mean,
feet.
it's like, it's not.
You can't do that.
Well, Red, you used the example of the septic system.
Septic
that
mound, which we
mounted.
use as
A
an
mound
example.
is
Right,
subject.
a mound, yeah, so any mound, basically, any change in grade, but maybe we should say that in our guidelines, for example, just so it's
So
clear.
that might be an interesting thing for your advisory committee to go
Yeah.
over the rules and regs once more and the bylaw. Make sure it's consistent with the state, send it to town council, have them look at it. The town council did look at your rules and regs, but they did not look at the bylaws since 1974.
Right.
Really, except to change one word from streets to way.
So I'm taking notes while we're talking, if that's okay. Now, this is way at the back, where we talk about. Here, well, it's clear, it says, yeah, okay.
And then change it so it's clear.
And any change of grade. Grade. Okay, very good. We need to be able to implement all this, of course. What's our procedure? Let's talk about it. If we're, are we in favor of trying to, well, there are two things. You're saying a correction of the bylaws and a change in the bylaws. And they're two separate items. The correction of the bylaws, do we even need to go to town meeting because it is right now in violation of 40C?
You do.
Okay, okay. But, yeah, okay, very good. Do we want to do this? I'm not hearing from anybody else on this.
Yeah, no, I think we
Yeah,
have to do
I
it.
think there are some
Okay,
important things.
that's
here.
the correction of the bylaws. What about the change to ask to get in walls and fences again?
Well,
Well, we
the
can
last
do-
time we tried that, we
And it
had,
was a big procedure, we had public hearings, everybody screamed and yelled, you're not gonna tell me what to do.
and we did not have the support of the neighborhood.
No, we did not.
We did not. Now,
association.
maybe, I don't know. Do we have the support of the neighborhood? I'm not sure where we
Well,
stand right
I
now.
think this could be that, you know.
The
be that
triggering event,
catalyst.
a
Just
catalyst.
to say to them, you know, this is for your own good. You need to let us have jurisdiction or else we can't help you.
Well, so one possibility is to try to do that, try to bring all walls into our jurisdiction. Another possibility is to make sure that, that a retaining wall is not considered as a wall.
Well,
In other words, to clarify what a wall
we
is.
say that in our guidelines. I mean, we already say that.
And that wouldn't
But the
require-
bylaw,
That wouldn't require a bylaw change.
I think it would. The bylaw says walls and fences, we don't have the power to review walls and fences. So as long as it says that, there will be some ambiguity
Yeah.
that people will try to exploit. If we were to change that to say stone walls and fences, I think that would already be a huge improvement and probably
Just the
not
wordage
too
of
hard.
that, yeah.
Just the word, change it to stone walls and fences, just to make sure that we're not talking about walls of houses, walls of swimming pool structures, you know,
But
things
wait,
like that.
there are stone walls of houses. I'm not sure I
Yeah.
understand, I'm not understand this
I think that's
distinction at all.
ambiguous, too.
I'm not sure we have exactly the right, but stone walls used as fences, or built as fences, or serving as fences, something like this.
Freestanding walls and
Freestanding
fencing,
stone
fences,
walls.
if you like, no, just call them freestanding
But
stone
we've
walls.
exempted,
I mean,
we've exempted, the bylaw exempted stone walls and fences.
It exempts walls and fences.
And
walls
so
and fences.
that's the way it is. I think that going to the town meeting, I mean, of course, we wanted that. I mean, this was, I felt were really important, those two things.
How about non-structural walls and fences, e.g. that they're not either a retaining wall, they're not supporting the upper floors and a roof, they're not, does that make more sense?
What I'm saying is that to go to the town meeting to change the roofing aspect of it.
Right,
because
is
that
necessary.
that is in
Uh-huh.
violation of state law,
Right.
would be the first thing on our agenda, let's say, to do. The stone walls and fences might be a very difficult thing to do.
Well, but could we go to, again, before town meeting, to change our bylaws, to make a correction, to make a clarification that we're talking about non-structural walls and fences?
Yeah, I would start with a clarification of the roofs, that we do have
We do have jurisdiction over materials, right?
The roof, just put that word,
Right,
it's simple.
right,
And then
exactly.
also for the, so that we can't have these, structures anymore.
Right.
So just to clarify that one.
But it is clarified in the guidelines. I mean, we have review over any structure that is above grade. Anything.
Well, clarify that too, maybe. in the
Except
guidelines.
except walls and fences by
That's
our own
right.
bylaws.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because
But let's-
the people who founded this district decided that they did not want to review walls and fences. So that's
Yeah.
the way it was.
That's the way it was, but the issue, Bill, is that the term wall is ambiguous. I mean, a wall,
A
houses have
retaining wall
walls.
has the word
But,
wall
wait a
in
minute,
it,
does
Bill,
it say walls
just-
and fences or stone walls?
No, it
says
just
walls
says
and
walls
fences.
and fences.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Your
I would be much
interpretation.
happier if it said stone walls. and
Well, I would be
fences.
even happier if it said non-structural walls
Non-structural walls,
and
that would-
fences,
I'd
'cause
be
that
even
How about
covers-
non-structural
I'm
Stone.
thinking of coming into the historical commission with an application to put a green plastic wall
I know.
around my property and to put a green plastic roof.
You're-
I can get that from you.
Yes, you can.
Betty,
You
this is
have
what,
you have no jurisdiction over it.
I know
Is that the
that.
way you wanted to say? I know you had trouble the last time.
I had a big picture of a green roof.
This time might be different.
Yeah, no, I.
You have to have a place, you have to put a place, whatever it's called, into the warrant by January 26th. So you
January
just say to
26th.
them, we're going to have a,
Bylaw change.
an article in the warrant.
Okay.
And you need to vet it with the town council, and you've got the town council with you anyway. But
Well-
you need I've been searching for a definition of a wall in law,
Mhm.
and what I found was a wall is a division between two open areas.
Mhm. But
That's
that,
how they defined it in the
Right.
law. I can't find it anywhere else, except if you look at all the past,
Betty, don't you agree, though, that if we just said non-structural wall and fence, what that does is it means it's not supporting anything else. It's not a retaining wall, and it's not supporting anything else.
It's not what I think. I think that
Yeah.
you should check that out with
Of
experts.
of course, I will.
And it's actually in 40C. They
Yeah.
use exactly the same language. Well, they say walls and fences or either. So the section is the section which specifies the things that historical commissions are allowed to ignore.
Yeah, but if we say non-structural, we're narrowing their
Yeah,
definition.
yeah, so
And-
that
and
so
I
that would
think
be okay.
That would be
okay.
fine,
Yeah, that would be
yes.
okay.
So maybe can I have a motion that we should prepare a bylaw amendment designed to correct our inconsistency with 40C and to clarify what's meant by making the following changes to 5911 of our bylaws. A2, instead of saying walls and fences, it would read non-structural walls and fences. A6 would say the color and the color of materials used on roofs and would leave out or nature. Excuse me, I got it wrong. Color and nature, excuse me, color, the color used. It takes out or nature or of materials. So just say the color used on roofs. And 7 would say additions, alterations, or pertinent structures which are not subject to view from a public street, blah, 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 and delete the parenthetical saying including but not limited to swimming pools and the like. Can we make those changes?
Can I add one other thought to
Yeah.
this? That there's an overarching comment before any of these language changes, that we are not admitting that we are
Yes.
adding something new here.
Right.
We're merely clarifying existing, because if we are trying to
Right, we don't wanna
bend
get
to
ourselves
something
in a
that's on the
bad
table
position for
now, That's
litigation.
not where we are.
And that may be, I'm afraid, with the recommendation of the attorney, that wait till all this is blown over.
I was thinking exactly that.
And I'm afraid that's where we're gonna go. But can I get the, motion to review those changes with the town attorney? If he
Yes.
okays it, try to get it in the warrant. If not, wait till an appropriate time.
Yes.
Yes, I
Excellent.
agree with that.
Okay, who's making that motion?
If you repeat it, I'll make it.
You got that, Bob?
You can read it back. It's under the advice of counsel, basically.
Under the
To
advice
make
of, well,
clar-
these are the three things we would check with council.
That's a great idea. I mean, that would get everything straightened out.
Yes.
I will point out that, I mean, the new language for A2 would still allow plastic fences.
Yes, it would permit plastic fences, freestanding plastic fences, there's no question about that. But, so, do we want to I sense a reluctance here to try to re-raise that issue
Well, let's
since,
ask Betty, should we raise that issue?
again, try to get out walls and
Stone walls,
fences entirely.
Walls and fences.
Well, I recently read through all that argument at the time when you did. Unfortunately, I wasn't a part of any of that. But I feel now that there are issues before the commission and you need authority. And I think a lot of people have recognized it in the district. There may be 2 or 3 who have not, but those who've recognized it need to stand up at town meeting. If you really feel that you should have jurisdiction over walls and fences, I think you should try it.
And roofs.
You could lose, but that's okay.
I said,
Because
no,
you
I mean,
should-
and roofs as well, roofing.
Wouldn't that also protect existing walls and fences from demolition?
That's what we're trying to do.
That's what we're
Yeah.
trying to do.
Yes, that's part of it, obviously.
And you'd have to, beforehand, it'd be really good if you could do some guidelines of what you would look for, so people know what it is that you are interested in. What is it you don't want?
Mhm.
You can't have plastic. I mean, doesn't mean you can't have a modern material. You just can't have
Exact,
plastic,
right.
that's shiny plastic.
Right.
Are these
It's a
bylaws?
lot of work, though. Hmm?
Yeah,
Yes,
are
it
these
is a lot
bylaws
of work.
adopted altogether, or are they voted on?
No, they would have to be 2 separate warrants.
So perhaps we could do it so that we could, I mean, the thing that we really want is to specify that walls means like freestanding,
Non-structural.
non-structural walls. So that could be one change. And then a separate change could be to extend,
I am using
Or
the
purview
word
to,
properly non-structural.
because I'm.
That's correct. I
Yeah.
agree.
I'm afraid
I agree.
that otherwise we would lose, I mean, there's something that we really want that's probably possible. The other thing may not be possible.
Betty, if we lose on the roofing materials, the state, what's the ramifications of that? Because we're in violation of the
Of
state.
40C.
Yes, you are.
Well, we get something
You have
from
been,
town
you have
council-
been approving non-applicability.
for things that we can't exempt from our jurisdiction, right.
Well, no,
That
but
happens all
it
the
was
time.
written in the bylaw, that's why we have done it. It's right there for us to follow.
was
It is
in-
the bylaw.
It was inaccurately written in the
Yeah.
bylaw.
Well, maybe we need, part of, if we're bringing this before, but if we're bringing this before town meeting, we get the town council to say we're in violation of the state enabling law. I mean,
Exactly.
Which is,
And therefore it needs to be fixed.
yeah.
Is the term party wall a legal definition?
Party?
Party?
wall, like the one that partitions or divides property.
No, buildings have party walls all the time, if you have 2 houses, for example. that-
Row houses.
Row houses, yeah.
I'm just wondering if it might be better to wait on this motion until we have
This-
a suggested
dust
language,
settles.
or until maybe you consult with the
How about-
town attorney.
I'll go consult with the attorney, we won't get it in this warrant, and we'll give ourselves time to do this properly. Is that okay with everybody?
I think that makes sense.
It's gonna be good.
Okay, very good, I will discuss this.
Is it once a year then? Do you wait another year? Is it, when's the warrant? Once a year?
Twice.
Twice a year.
Oh, so we
Yeah.
we can still do it in 24.
Yep.
So June,
Yep. Okay. New business.
I have information about the town farm.
Yes.
We're looking for approval. We have a bid for the work to be done on the soffits and the gutters
Right.
and some other things. Tony Millam and I reached out to 10 people to get bids. We got 1 bid. And Jim Harnett was able to speak with them a little to get it down to the
Negotiate
budget
it.
that we have. And I just need an approval from the Historic Commission so they can move forward with that. CPC will be voting on it soon, I believe.
Do I hear a motion?
I have Bill looked over this at some point.
Yes, and I've seen it.
If anyone wants to read it, but it's the work that needs to be done.
It'll go into the record, this.
Sure, and
will go
then
into the
I
record.
guess we just need the approval on, the notes for this particular.
I'll make a
meeting.
motion to approve.
Here's the scope.
Second?
Are we putting this in the file?
Yes.
What exactly are we approving?
The work to be done by, what are their names?
Probably on there.
Anyway.
Approval to enter.
Full scope contracting incorporated.
So approval to enter into a contract, is that?
They signed the contract already. It's just the approval from the commission to say that it's okay to do the work.
We approve the contract.
Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve the contract.
A second.
Garrett Stuck, aye.
Carol Volter, aye.
Rod Lawrence, aye.
William Kendall, aye.
Deborah Chialfi, aye.
Shook eye.
Walden, aye.
Good. That's done. Now, while we're on the subject of Town Farm, we should not be soliciting bids for work to be done on Town Farm. We are not a maintenance company. We are not a landlord. The landlord of this building is the town. And it seems to me that the town should be bringing, of course, like the Historical Society, bringing any work they want to do before us to get our approval. But at that point, we should be out of the picture. We're too thinly spread to be doing this. And Michael is getting burned out. Is burned out, has burned out.
A lot of work.
We did put this to Jim Hartnett,
We did.
and Jim said, if you guys don't do it, it's not gonna get done.
But, okay, here's one question. What would happen if, with our new advisory commission, when we form it, Tony Millam wanted to do this, if he wants to continue what Geraldine was doing? Is that the case?
Well, we talked about that a little bit, and he was talking about finding some sort of group of people that were interested in overseeing what happens with the town farm. The interesting thing with the town.
Who's interested in that? I mean, other than, okay, what
Well-
about the trustees of reservations? Are they interested in taking over any more responsibility of it?
Not likely, because they used to have a stronger focus on the.
I know, they've abandoned the South Coast, I know very well.
Yeah, but it seems to me that the people that are interested in the town farm already feel like they're supporting it by supporting the trustees. Because the part of the town farm that needs help is not the glamorous part of the town farm,
It's this rental unit.
yeah. It's a weird situation.
So what's your thinking on this?
Well, we haven't done anything to pursue the idea of having some people interested in it, but the advisory board might be the group of people that want to
a
do
vehicle for those people to then, have authority for that interest,
Right.
basically.
that. Right.
I mean, it's crazy that the towns just dump this on us because they don't want to do it.
Well, I think originally.
I mean, they get all the rent and we're doing the work. It's crazy.
Originally, Geraldine oversaw.
Wanted to
it all
make
and
sure that they
wanted to
didn't do it
control.
wrong, but
Right.
because it is one of the historic properties that they do have to come to us for approval for, they
Right.
shouldn't be doing anything without coming through us anyway.
Right.
Well, for example, this building,
Mhm.
when they come to CPC for funding, we have a liaison who handles that generally. Like Tim Gillespie will handle everything, and he's just on CPC, so it's not unusual that that happens. But the case with the town farm is that Geraldine saved the town farm, and if she hadn't taken it over, it could have been sold. And so you're trying to protect it. And CPC.
But contracting is not a way to protect it
Well,
necessarily.
Well, you have to prepare. And the question is, who takes that responsibility? And I was thinking for like the town farm, someone from the historical commission, like Garrett,
Mhm.
you know, and Michael, could take that responsibility. We will approve this budget, CPC next,
Mhm.
when we meet. I mean, I hope we will, sure we will, approve it. And then I believe that the person who's responsible ultimately is Jim Hartman. So the town administrator does take the ultimate responsibility for the contract and all of that.
No, I
But
understand.
you all help make sure you get the right people, the historic builders, the right people to do the project. It's to protect.
They got one response. That's not
I
getting the
know,
right,
but
that's not getting the right people,
one's
that's getting
enough.
whoever.
Well,
It's
we
okay.
did,
You did pre-vet
check
them?
out.
Yeah,
and
okay.
Yeah,
they
so
got-
they tried, they
Yeah,
stood
yeah.
out. They
Okay.
did it all, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
were helped
Yep.
by Jim Hartnett and Denise Bouchard.
Yep,
They did a lot of the work.
did a lot of work.
Yeah, so it's been a combination of the two. You are a town committee.
We are a
Your
town
job
commission,
is
but
to
we're
save
volunteer.
houses.
We're not taking over the building management of town hall, or this building for that matter,
No.
or the HOA.
No.
I mean, you know, it's like,
For example, the Sanford School, Tony Vieira is the commander. He's taken responsibility for that, but he works with Jim Hartnett just the same way you do.
uh-huh.
So it so happens that since Tim Gillespie is builder and
Right.
but once he leaves CPC, who knows what's gonna happen. So I think you've just got to be part of it. Or not be, if you don't,
Yeah.
because you have to approve it.
We do have to approve it.
CPC won't get any money.
No, we do have to
unless
approve
you
it. We do
the
have to
project.
approve it,
Well,
yes.
you know how hard that is. You have to know everything. You have to know what's gonna happen, so.
So you're saying you think we should just continue on the way we've been continuing?
I think it will protect the town farm. I think you should think about getting a historic preservation restriction on the whole farm. You know, there's none.
Right,
Yeah. There's a lot of things that need that kind of work in West Point.
yeah.
I think I know I'm talking about too many things to do, but I'm just
It's okay.
frustrated.
Aren't we
But
all?
I think you're gonna have to continue, and CPC will help you as much. We've been helpful. Anything you've asked us to do, we've done. So, and Jim Hartman and Denise have done everything. So I think that it's been mutual.
All right, I don't remember any of them helping me with my house. No, I'm sorry.
I don't have to do mine either. You
Okay.
tell me what I can
Okay,
do.
very good. Okay. For now, it sounds like we're tabling that.
Sure.
Other new business.
Document available online.
I should just mention that I have noticed that things have gotten kind of a little bit too grim around here. And so I should mention that, I don't know, when the weather gets a little warmer, Jackie and I are planning to have a little party for all the members and your spouses.
At your pool?
Yes.
Very nice.
Uh-oh.
Was your pool
Is there a retaining wall?
Very nice.
Good question.
Looking forward
No,
to it.
just a
Thank you.
fence.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's sometime in the future.
Motion to adjourn?
Have we, well, I think it's time. Everybody agree?
I move we adjourn.
I did get
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? And this time I'm not doing a roll call.
Aye.
Aye.